Hey guys, Megaton Menace here, back with another video. So, I just finished a full playthrough of Horizon Forbidden West, and full spoiler warning. But before I dive into that, I wanted to say that I do legitimately and genuinely think that this game was overall great and has much, much more good than bad. So, just keep in mind that despite the fact that I'm about to talk about negative things, I did like the game as a whole, and if you are on the fence about whether or not you should get it, I do think that you should give it a try. So I wanted to talk about the three things in the game that disappointed me the most. And I want to start with the small one, then do the medium one, and then do the big one. So, first is that one of the machines in the franchise is this big tentacle monster thing called a Horus. And the Horus is, they're everywhere all over the map, and they have a huge presence in both games. And I've always wanted them to, do something with the Horus. So the fact that we get through the entire game and that the Horus is never fought, never utilized, and doesn't matter to the plot in any significant way whatsoever is a disappointment that is big enough that I think it's worth mentioning. Then, second is that the main antagonist of this game, the Zeniths, they're all one-dimensional characters who barely have motivation. They're super boring. And also, the big twist at the end of the game is that the reason why they were even on Earth was because they were running from a massive threat that they created on accident. And because of that, with the original game, it felt like a self-contained story that had unanswered questions for a potential sequel. However, with this game, it feels like that the entire point of the game was to establish the villain for the third game, and that the entire point of the game is to just be a bridge to connect the first game to the third game that doesn't even exist yet, and therefore that makes it feel kinda pointless. Now, it is true that other games in the past have done this and pulled it off well. For example, in many ways, Mass Effect 2 is very much so just about, getting rid of the collectors so that when the Reapers show up in the third game, we can focus on them without any other distractions. Get rid of the Reaper's top agent before the Reapers show up, and Mass Effect 2 is very much so a bridge game, and when it comes to the grand narrative of the Mass Effect trilogy, it is narratively the least important game. But despite that, universally, in that fandom, Mass Effect 2 is overall regarded to be the best of the three. But I just feel I feel like that what Forbidden West was trying to do by being that bridge that connects 1 to 3 is of something that is possible, but they just didn't pull it off well because the Zenith, and it's mostly because the actual threat of Nemesis is introduced a little too late, and the actual Zeniths are one-dimensional, boring, go down too easily in their final fight, and you just are never given a good reason to care about them. And then we get to my biggest complaint, and that is that in this game, it is revealed that when the Pharaoh machines destroyed the world about 1,000 years ago, Ted Pharaoh found a way to survive, and that therefore he has been alive for the last 1,000 years. However, the process that was used to keep him alive had a lot of nasty side effects that mutated him and turned him into a monster. However, and that this procedure being perfected is how the Zeniths gained their immortality. However, the problem with this is that the amount of time between the reveal that is that after this reveal happens with Ted Faro gets killed, and the amount of time between us learning that he was alive and his death is 2 or 3 minutes. And in addition to that, not only that, but he's like in a self-containment room, and the character who kills him goes into the room to kill him, and we don't even see him. So not only is it that, like, a minute after it was revealed, and that's really not an exaggeration, that like a minute after it was revealed that he was alive, he gets killed, but also we didn't even get to see what type of abomination he got mutated into. It makes it feel lazy, shoehorned in, completely anticlimactic, and that it feels like that if you're gonna have Faro be alive after 1,000 years, you should, actually do something with that. And you know what? Even if the situation was he comes out of the room, he's a big monster, and then you fight him as a boss, and then he dies, even that would have, it still would have been, he gets killed like 5 minutes after you learn he's alive, but it still would have been so much better because we see the problem and we deal with the problem. But they didn't do that, and because of that, it's, for me, the most disappointing thing in the entire game and the biggest wasted potential. And it's bad enough that it's common for me to be playing the game being like, oh, like, there's 3 drones I haven't gotten, let's go get them, and then just like I'll randomly think about them and be like, ugh, that was awful. Like, why'd they do that to Ted Faro? Just so yeah, there you have it. That's all I got for this video. Obviously, down in the comments, feel free to share your thoughts on the game. Now, obviously, like, if you love the game and you just want to gush about it, that's fine. If you feel that the things that I complained about are not problems and you want to tell me why, that's fine. And also, if there's other aspects of the game that disappointed you, I would also love to. Like, a great example is that, like, in fact, because perspective's huge, because here's a great example. One of my favorite side quests in the game is the one where you have to choose if the new desert commander ends up being Yara or Draka. Like, that's one of my favorite side quests in the game. However, my buddy Asir, he absolutely hated that quest, but that's because he doesn't like the fact that the player has to choose, and he was saying that he would have preferred if it was just Aloy chooses and who becomes the leader is scripted and not determined by the player, because part of the reason why he likes Horizon is because Horizon's like, we have a story to tell, here's the story, and that by inserting player choice, like, inserting player choice into a story and a game that has nothing to do with player choice breaks immersion, and then also it's going to make it so that now there's technically like a split timeline there between did you choose Yara or Draka, and then that makes it so that in the future we can't return to the deserts of Nevada. And if you do, you have to canonize one choice and then alienate the people that chose the other one. Like, that's a serious perspective on that mission, which is a mission that I personally loved. So regardless, I would definitely love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and such in the comments. So until next time, peace.